Hey, welcome to the guide. I'm Yo.
You're Will, and I'm Yo.
Oh. Hey, welcome to the guide. I'm Will.
And I'm Yo.
And today we're going to do a little Forza 4 tuning tips for the upcoming racing night, September 15th.
Looking forward to that. It's going to help us get prepped for Forza Horizon, which is coming out very, very soon in October. We're so stoked for that racing game. Forza 4, however, is an awesome racing game.
Yeah.
And first of all, why don't you tell everyone, how does what you can do tuning-wise, you know, tires and everything else, compared to what you can do real life? Like, how realistic is Forza?
Well, all the tuning options that Forza offers are completely viable options you can do in real life. Some of them aren't as practical as others.
Okay.
So I would say adjusting your tire pressure is probably the most practical thing you can do in Forza that you can do in real life. But
now, when you adjust your tire pressure in real life, it's usually for like MPGs to get better gas mileage. Whereas racing, you want to do it for either speed or cornering purposes, right?
Exactly. Or when I go four-wheeling with my Jeep in real life, I'll put real low tire pressure, so the rubber kind of squishes out and grabs the sand and the rocks or whatever you're getting up.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But in Forza, you definitely want to go faster than slower.
True.
So,
well, most of the time. I mean, some people people feel comfortable with having better cornering. But okay, first, if you want to go faster, what do you do with your tire pressure?
You raise it.
Okay.
You don't have to raise it a lot either, just a little bit. You can start by raising it 0.5 at a time on the bar.
0.5 psi. And then if you want better cornering, what do you do with it? I mean, obviously you lower it, but again, how much?
Yeah, just lower it in the same amount, really, either way. And it's gonna have. You don't want to do it too much because it really does have an effect on how your car handles.
Even in small increments.
And you want to start to think about, well, maybe lowering the tire pressure 0.5 psi in the front and raising it 0.5 in the rear. That'll give you a little bit more control when you go into corners, but then you're going to be able to maintain some of that speed that you had coming into it as well.
The guys who created Forza, Turn 10, they're fanatical car guys. They actually went and redid all the physics for the tires. They went to like Pirelli and actual tire manufacturers, got all kinds of data under all kinds of circumstances for the tires, so there's a lot you can do with that because they made it as realistic as possible. Now, one of the interesting things is camber, which I've heard a lot about, and I know that's not something you necessarily do a lot in real life, but on the track it can help.
When you adjust camber in real life, it's 99% of the time for an alignment of your car, because the camber affects how your tire sits on the asphalt. You can either angle it so it's pointing a little bit inward towards the car, or angle it outward, and that affects your cornering control, but it also affects your straightaway control, because if you have a lot of camber adjustment, your tires are kind of crooked, then you're not going to have a whole lot of traction going on a straightaway.
Because there's not as much of it contacting the road.
But when you hit that corner, the weight is going to be distributed onto the edges of those tires, and it'll hold you in that corner. One
of the things I read about that is just a good rule of thumb to help with your cornering is to adjust the camber negatively by like 0.5 degrees. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. You want a little negative camber because that'll help with cornering.
Yeah, and really with all these things, when you adjust it, a little is a lot when it comes to the mechanics world.
So what are some other things that we can do outside of the tires with pressure and camber? Like, what can we do, like gear ratios?
Gear ratios, that's my favorite thing to mess with in Forza. And with most cars, you need to purchase a higher level transmission because most cars stock don't come with adjustable gears.
Right, that's true.
And the easiest way to adjust the gear ratio is first I take a look at the map that I'm going to be on to see if there's a long straightaway or if there's a lot of just corners and not much straightaway. Then you're going to want to take the top bar, which is your final drive gear. And it's pretty easy to see. There's a grid on the bottom right of the screen that's in miles per hour, and it shows where your car tops out, and then you can adjust that final drive gear either down or up depending on if you want your gears to be closer together. You're going to have a lot more acceleration. But you're not going to have as much top speed. Or you can widen your gears out and have much higher top speed, but it'll take you longer to get there.
All right, well that's good advice. So depending on what kind of track you have,
definitely
that's the way you want to adjust your gears. So if there's a lot of cornering, you want your gears close together because that makes it easy to get in and out of those corners and keep maximum acceleration coming out of the corners.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where I've forgotten that I've had a really short gear ratio and I'll go onto just a big oval track.
Right.
Like, sweet, I'm ahead of everyone. Oh,
And
I'm
they
only
all
going 100
pass
miles an
you.
hour now.
I've wondered why that happens to me. That happens quite frequently. I'm sure it will when we do our game night. What are some other things that people can tune to help get the most out of their cars?
Another thing I'd say is adjusting your springs.
Oh, okay,
is
yeah.
a pretty useful thing to do in Forza. If you lower your springs, you're gonna have better grip on the road. But if you make your springs too soft, then you're gonna risk bottoming out on
Right.
bumps, which that's gonna cause some
It'll
loss
make you
of
lose
control.
some speed and control and whatnot. So those are a few things that you can look at to help you get the most out of your car when racing on Forza 4, which we'll be doing September 15th. Looking forward to that.
Definitely.
Any other last tips you want to give to people to totally school us?
No, I think
No.
that's enough.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Be sure to check out the Guides Car Club. You can join our car club. We have some cars online. The cool thing about Forza 4's car clubs, you can try any of the cars that we put into that club.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a car yet, but we do, you can try it out online only. But online, you can try out the cars that we have unlocked, so you can try some different things. And you can even save tuning setups. So once you tune something and you get it the way you want, you can save that and apply it. Do you do that? Do you like have different tuning setups? Like, okay, for curvy tracks, this is my tuning setup for that. For straightaways,
Sometimes, but I use so many different cars that
that's true.
every car is weighted differently and requires just a tiny bit different tuning here or there, and
Right.
so that's just. Thankfully, I don't have that much time on my hands to create tuning setups for everything.
Yeah, that's good because you're spending all your time playing Knights of the Old Republic. So we'll see you September 15th for our Forza 4 race night. We'll have some prizes to give away, and it's going to be a blast. For all the details about that, be sure to check out our website, gameandmovieguide.com, and just to keep up in general with what we got going on, check us out on social media.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Game and Movie Guide. You can find us on Twitter and Google Plus as well.